held a prayer vigil on Monday at the site of where George Floyd died last Monday. You're listening to USA Radio News.
They call it the new censorship. Social media companies like Facebook, Twitter, Google, and YouTube are being criticized for banning political messages or stories that discuss alternative treatments for the coronavirus. One big media company is even asking Twitter to ban President Trump. Now, Newsmax TV is asking the tough questions about the dangers to our freedoms. With the 2020 election coming, watch Newsmax TV's special reports from Sean Spicer all this week exposing the threats to free speech. Each weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Sean Spicer tackles the big issues on Newsmax TV, America's fastest-growing cable news channel. Newsmax TV is on all major cable systems: DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Spectrum, Cox, Optimum, Fios, Uverse, Suddenlink, Mediacom, Armstrong, and more. Watch Newsmax TV and see great shows with Michelle Malkin, Mike Huckabee, Greg Kelly, Alan Dershowitz, and Herman Cain. Check your cable guide and get Newsmax TV. It's real news for real people.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, speaking with black community leaders at a church in Wilmington, Delaware, rips the Trump administration for their response to the coronavirus pandemic.
The Band-Aid has been ripped off by this pandemic and this president. Nobody can pretend any longer what this is all about.
Biden was one of many Democrats who called President Trump xenophobic after the president put in place a travel ban from China during the beginning stages of the coronavirus pandemic. The Supreme Court declined to hear a challenge on Monday to lawyers' state bar fees, which had been brought after justices struck down mandatory union dues in a 2018 case, citing the First Amendment. Wisconsin attorneys had sued the state bar over its collection of dues, saying that the First Amendment was violated by forcing them to subsidize the speech of the State Bar of Wisconsin. The State Bar of Wisconsin saying they will suspend a lawyer's license to practice if he or she refuses to pay the dues. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-215-5141. 800-215-5141. That's 800-215-5141.
Several monuments on the National Mall were vandalized late Sunday as protests turned into riots in Washington, D.C. First Lady Melania Trump calling for peace across the country as the protests continue. Elvita King is the niece of Martin Luther King Jr. She tells Fox News what her uncle would be saying during these times of unrest.
Yes, I live here in Atlanta. I believe that Martin Luther King Jr., the prophet, would speak to us as he did during his lifetime. You can hear his speeches, his sermons, and I'm paraphrasing here. Prophet King said, "We may have come to America on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now." Acts 17:26, we are all one blood. Of one blood, God made all people. So we're all human beings. And Prophet King said we must learn to live together as brothers, I'll add as sisters, or perish together as fools. We're not living well when domestic terrorists are stealing, killing, and destroying in our communities. We're not living well when a man's breath is stolen. I'm talking about George Floyd. His breath, his voice, his very life were taken. All of us are angry and hurt. Prophet King would be upset as well.
The green flag drops at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time from Bristol Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Welcome to What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson, and I'm your host. I'm here with Ed Knoll.
Howdy,
He's
everyone.
a new special guy in the mortgage world. We'll talk about that a little later. We've got, what's your name again?
Oh, what's his name?
Doug Ashby, author of Heroes and Giants, which is in edit right now for
Yes.
a new version, which is exciting.
Wow. Happy about that?
Yes,
Yeah.
very excited.
Yeah.
And then if you're on Facebook, or if you're on the radio, you're going to hear her. April Kempler, author of The Altered Eye, is with us.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi, everybody.
April.
Hey,
Hey, I love your mirror behind you and the chandelier showing and all of that.
Thank you.
I love it too.
I do too.
Me
Yeah, you
too.
can't see a thing. Are you kidding me? You're just blind as can be.
It gives me a chance to work on balance in my imagination.
Oh, no computer today, huh?
The battery didn't hold a charge, so I
Oh.
got to bring my cord. And
You want to use mine?
I'm too lazy. Computer?
Mine's like a rock. You can go ahead and use it if you want.
I understand that computer's been labeled Murphy's Law.
It's going to see the fish in a little bit.
Oh, well, we have a very exciting show today and a few little changes here and there we'll talk about as we go along. Truckee Meadows Pest Control is joining us today. Oh, a little bit of nepotism going on here. That is Jody Ashby. Recognize that name?
Huh.
Go
Wow.
figure, huh? Who is that?
Yeah.
And my little tease today was pests under the hood, because one of the things that the I can't remember the name of the organization. Jody can probably share that with me. But it's a pest control organization, and they were saying, with everybody being home, cars are parked for longer periods of time and tend to have little critters crawl under there, whether that be cats, squirrels, rabbits, depending on where you are, what city you're in. It could be any sort of thing. I used to have it happen at my house when I lived out in Pleasant Valley. I don't know if
Yep.
you experience it.
I know. I've had family and mice travel with me for months.
Oh, mice! Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't have mice, but I did
well,
have
they
rabbits.
climb up in the car and get between. You
Yes.
can't get them out.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hadn't thought about that.
we
We,
have
uh,
a mouse story as well with our truck. It cost about $5,000 in
Oh
damages.
my!
It's
Oh, my.
rewiring. They eat all the wires.
Yeah, well, and so that's kind of what they were sharing, is that especially, with the COVID thing, then people started being home longer, and some people weren't driving as much, and so didn't think about the fact that, critters are going to crawl under your hood. So anyway, what can I tell you? Exciting
They're so
stuff.
destructive.
I don't know if Jody's going to share any of that with us, but I'm giving her a good lead.
That sounds like a Western,
Well,
country
I want to
Western
get
song.
into squirrel trapping because I've been doing some serious squirrel trapping at my house.
Oh, see
Really?
there?
Yep.
All right.
Well, you need my son and daughter-in-law's pest control company, because they're trying to manage squirrels at our house because they're killing the trees like crazy.
Well, I just catch them and drop them off at East Lake, right? They're just a valley over, right? Pleasant Valley in between me. I'm just hoping they're not like cats and can find their way home, right? They're all partying down there at Little Washoe.
Yeah. We do the catch and release too. Yeah.
Catch
We have a
and
little
release.
cannon and we shoot them into the neighbor's yard.
Ooh, that's a real catch
Oh,
and
that's
release.
funny.
Oof. My goodness. Yeah, but where you live, you can do that. You're out there. So, okay, so we have Truckee Meadows Pest Control. Then in our second half, I'm going to do a little bit about potatoes, eggs, or coffee. And then Ed's going to do a little productivity chatting.
Rock on.
Yep, and then
I like it.
Reno Gal's gonna share how to use your emotions, feelings, thoughts towards productive endeavors. You kind of get the theme here. We're on the productive
Yeah, we're
side.
being productive.
We are being productive. There's a lot going on out there, which maybe in our second half we have a new segment called Current Events in Our Town and Yours. So we might cover a little bit about all of that. Not going to play on any of these things for any length of time. There's plenty of news out there if you want to talk about all the current events in the most prominent areas. But we try and cover some other things for you. Jenny Brewster is going to share her Cinnamon in 60 Seconds. And then we're going to also have story time, a little backstory about a very famous store that made all of $11 its first day in business. Whoopee. In those days, it was about 300, but even so, that's not very much money. So, and they are well known today. So, just shows you what you can do if you get started, and even if you just start with a little, you can be a lot. right?
Sounds like one of my it sounds like one of my book sales. Book signings.
That's right. That's right. So
I'd be very excited with one sale.
That's right, and you should be. Everybody should be, especially in book sales. It's a tough business to be in. So.
It's just like dating. One sale leads to another.
There you go. And then our very special guest, the last half hour of the show. So if you can't stick around for right now, come back to us later, because we have Mary Kelikoa, who is the author of Derailed. She has become my new favorite author, at least for the moment. And you guys ought to read Derailed. It's a good book. I believe it is her first, but we'll confirm that with her. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. I did leave that at home. But, different day today. But glad to be here with everyone. It's
nice
exciting. It's fun.
We've had kind of the past 6 weeks or whatever. It's been hit and miss, and it's so great to be here.
This
We're
is
glad
real
Christian's
life.
Feeling better. Yeah, Christian's better. He's with us. And if you're watching us on Facebook, you can see our little banner behind us. And
Isn't that
Mr.
great?
Ed Knoll. Is that a good number for you still, Ed?
Yeah, it's a good number. And glass half full, right? Glass half full.
That's right. Everything's half full around here.
Or half baked.
Depends on who you are.
And what time of day.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, again, a few changes with our lineups, but still a fun show, still good things going on. And it's all about the story. And we know that you guys out there have stories. So be sure to keep in mind that if you want to share those, you can go to our Facebook page, join us there, or you can write to us at lrp@lrpnv.com. You can also call in 844-790-TALK when we're on the air, 775-237-2266 if you want to text. And gosh, I just don't know. There's so many ways to reach us. You ought to do that. At LeRue Press, Twitter. We'll be right back.
All right, you guys are clear. Remember that you're going out over Facebook Live right now.
Yes.
Voice-wise, yeah.
So,
yes.
Thank you.
We're on Facebook right now. Is what he's trying to say.
so the initial song, right, as it comes in, I don't know what it's called, but
Backbone.
I like that it had Get a Backbone.
Yep. I got my backbone back.
It's a good thing my cell phone came on with an ESPN alert during break. Right.
That was important.
Well, otherwise ESPN would have had to pay for a commercial break during the time, right? Right, there they go.
That's right. That's right. Oh my goodness. So
How you been? I missed you. I dropped by.
I know.
And I called.
I know. I want to say a quick. I will tell you. Oh, she's gone now. I was just going to say a quick hello to Doris. My cousin was on. Never met her, but we've since Facebook. You get to know people that you. I shouldn't say I never. I met her once when we were both tiny kids. So anyway, he's actually in the hospital.
Is he?
He is, but he's getting out today. In
Oh,
fact,
great.
as soon as I'm done here, I'm going over to the VA and we're going home. A little hiccup, hiccups happen. So.
Yeah.
And we've got Jody on the line.
Perfect.
As well.
Hello, Jody. Nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah. We can't see you yet because we're on break, but we'll see you when we come back on. Is somebody
can
here
see
that
her.
you say it again? You
I can see her.
Well, yeah, the two of you can probably see each other because you're both
and
on
Paul
Zoom.
and Paul Kempler, my husband, wanted to say hi because he knows you.
Oh, hi, Paul. How are you?
Well, there you go.
Like, I know Jody Ashby. Like,
It's
we'll
nice
say
hearing
hi.
all that chatter in the background, isn't it?
Well, there you go. Excellent.
I've been saving my words up for 2 months. Right? I'm just ready to explode
That's
on
right.
somebody.
I hope you have a lot to say about productivity.
Your head's on fire, huh?
So I do have a lot to say. I mean, there's a lot to be said for it.
There is, especially right now. It's hard to be productive in this environment.
Hey, Jody. I have a tip for you.
Oh, yeah?
Talk a lot because Doug's on this show, and clearly it's the only time you'll ever have a chance to talk and not be interrupted.
Oh, yeah, I know Doug well.
And thank you, Paul, for saying Doug and not me. That was kind.
Hey, you'll have your time.
Nope, looks to me like labels are set.
I will
Well,
do
one
my
has to
very
do with
best.
family stuff, and the other has to do with radio stuff.
Very true. It's pretty funny.
Uh-oh, female.
All right, stand by. Here we go.
It's so fast. Hey, welcome back. I was just going to sit here and rock out to the music, you know. I forgot that I was supposed to do an intro, right? Oh, hey, okay, here I am. Yes, then that is one of our sponsors and partners, Susie Husner, a singer and songwriter who currently resides in Southern California. And that music is also produced and engineered by Rob Black of Light Black Productions and recorded at Media Kitchen Studios in Gardena, California. So if you need any help like that, you know where to call. Right
Nice.
here, or there,
Yeah.
or everywhere. Go on Facebook. Contact us here. Anyhow, I want to get right to our guest. Jody Ashby has joined us. She is with Truckee Meadows Pest Control, and she's going to share some story with us because we are all about the story. Jody, welcome. She's on Zoom, and if you're on Facebook, you can see her too. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Hey, wonderful to have you here. So Doug's over here kind of gawking over my shoulder.
I can see her, yeah.
Because he doesn't have his computer up, right?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
God forbid.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, yes. So, welcome, and why don't you share a little bit about Truckee Meadow Pest Control? Tell us a little bit about how you got into the business. Give us some of the backstory.
okay. Well, so my husband and I own this business. We are 3 years old next month. And how we got here, Chris, my husband, has been, I don't know, the jack of all trades throughout our relationship. We'll be married 20 years next year. And through the beginning of our relationship, he kind of, went job to job trying to figure out what he wanted to do. And once he found pest control, it kind of just clicked with him. And he, sorry, my phone was.
We were rocking out to that now. You know, this is just all about the beat, right?
I thought there was some kind of rap. I thought you guys had some kind of modern rap advertising.
It was the soundtrack.
That was great.
Anyway, so once he found pest control, it kind of just clicked with him, and he's just so amazing at it. When he worked for a bigger company, and he kind of just excelled and was very successful managing whatever they gave to him. And it just became a point where he thought, I can do this better, and I can treat people like a name, not a number, and actually treat their problem and not just take advantage of people. So I believed in him, so I hung my real estate license up, and we jumped into business together and decided, let's move back to Reno, our home that we love. And that's pretty much how we got here. And since we've been here, everybody's just been so welcoming, so great. We have great service, we do great things, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. Like I said, we're 3 years into this business, and we're already voted best in Reno. So,
congratulations on that. That's wonderful.
One of the stories that she just kind of breezed over that should be told is that when Chris was with his first pest control company, a big company here, he was in a group that had 110 people in it or whatever, and his group here in Reno was second to dead last.
Oh, wow.
And he took it to almost first within a year. That's the caliber of
he took it to first. He took it to first in the division.
See?
And Reno was kind of the redheaded stepchild, if you will, of that company. They didn't really care, and Reno was never a producer, never anything great. And what Chris was able to do here in Reno just amazed them. And so they ended up moving us to Colorado to do the same thing. And then they moved us to California to do kind of the same thing. And then at that point, Chris was ready to do it himself.
Wow, that's great. So tell us a little bit about what makes you different. I know you have mentioned some things, but give us some insight into, what the other guy does, what you do, or if that's not the nature of it, what is it why am I calling you and not somebody else? I guess that's really what I want to know.
Well, yeah, we don't like to talk poorly of our competitors,
right.
Because everybody, has their own good stuff
Sure.
that they do.
You want me to do that, Jody?
But we, the number one thing that we do differently is that we do actually care. And we are, a family-owned business, and we're not out to make our millions off of one person. And what our number one goal is to bring integrity back into pest control. And that means if we can tell you that you can kind of do this on your own, or you don't really need us, or your problem's not that bad, we'll give you that advice, and then hope that you'll have your neighbors call us and continue that on.
That's a great
we're
point.
We're going to charge you for what's necessary, and we're going to treat what's necessary, and we're going to actually fix your problem. Everybody's home is unique. Everybody's home is their castle, and everybody has different problems and different issues. So it's not just one box fits everybody and one plan fits everybody. So every time we come to someone's home, we create a custom plan. We figure out what's going on, and it's not just a splash and dash. We're in and out in 5 minutes, and you never really see us or create a relationship with us. We have neighbors who will call us, and they're like, what is your guy doing? He's been there for 40 minutes, and my guy comes and leaves, and I don't even know his name.
That's funny. That really is a good point, Jody. That's an excellent point that you're making as far as the relationship goes, because I think that oftentimes service people especially have forgotten about the service, and they're out there to hit their numbers, whatever that might be, and not that they don't care about getting the job done right, but part of that job is servicing the customer and having that relationship, that there's a level of confidence that when you do what you do, that you're doing it right. And if you have a question, that you can ask that. And I know I've been to a lot of places where I don't feel like, even though the job was done well, I just didn't feel like I could ask a question, or so it sounds like you've got that down.
Yeah, we definitely this last year we've always said customer service is so important, and customer service, and then this last year we read a book, and it was they changed it from customer service to customer experience. And that's where we were like, you know what, that's exactly what we've been trying to say.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That we need to provide the best customer experience.
So during the pandemic, we have all experienced many different things. Is there something special that you guys have to do or are doing as a result of, because this isn't going to be just for now. This is going to be with us for a while.
Yeah, it hasn't changed us too much, because what we do is mostly exterior. We try to treat your home and treat your business from the exterior as much as we can. If we're doing a good job on the exterior of your home, we should never have to come inside your home to treat. And we try to stay outside of homes as much as possible. So we are exterior treating only. Our guys have all their PPE that they've always had, masks and gloves. And we only go inside if it's extremely necessary. And then, we ask the homeowner to leave while we're inside, and then they can come back in when we're done. So we're just, our guys are kind of the best at social distancing, because they drive around in their truck by themselves all day, every day.
Yeah. They understand social distance.
They do.
Well, and again, back to that whole relationship. Doris said so true about relationships, not just for family and friends, for customers and vendors. So that point rings very true. Anything in particular that you'd like to share? We're almost running out of time here. It all goes so fast. But anything you'd like to share with our audience as far as a tip for them, that what they should be looking for right now? We didn't even get into any of that.
Oh, there's a lot of tips. You can find us on Facebook, and I put up tips all the time. And you can go on our website, which is tmpestcontrol.com. But I guess right now maybe mosquitoes are coming out, and if you do have like a mosquito prone yard, just to look for all the places that water could be pooling and get rid of it. If you have tires or buckets or things where water kind of sits, that's where the mosquitoes breed, and that's where they're going to be most prevalent in your yard. So you want to get rid of all the standing water, and you'll have less mosquitoes.
Excellent point. All right. Well, we want to thank you, and give us your website again.
It's tmpestcontrol.com. So Truckee Meadows, tmpestcontrol.com.
And a phone number to reach you?
Our phone number is 775-332-0604.
Perfect. All right. So make sure that you call Jody, who I presume you're the one answering the phone, right?
I am answering the phone. You will get me, yes.
There you go. So you can talk directly to Jody, and she will help you out. And we appreciate, Jody, that you were willing to come on and be a part of our new segment, Business Spotlight, because we want to help businesses get out there and have people know that they're still around. Despite that nasty old pandemic, we're still here. We're not going away.
We are still here, yes. Thank you so much for having me. The bugs did not get the notice that there's a pandemic going on.
Absolutely.
So they're still out there.
You got that right. All right. You are listening to What's the Story. We're going to be right back. Thank you so much, Jody. That was great.
Perfect. Great. Is that all you need from me?
Yes, ma'am.
Call me back anytime you have any questions.
Absolutely. We will.
Isn't that amazing how quick that time goes by?
Yeah, it does.
And that Doug was so quiet?
I know. He only said one thing.
I know. So unusual.
That was because Ed kept running his hand across his neck.
Well, I don't know. So I've known Doug for almost 20 years now, and we both, I think, get about the same amount of talking time. So.
He told me you'd have no problem talking.
She comes from good stock.
That's right.
Very good.
Thanks for being on the show.
Okay, you guys have fun. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
I wish they did pest reports.
Give what reports?
They don't do pest.
Yeah.
Like a pollen report?
Yeah, I'm just right. I deal with home buying and stuff, and pest reports matter. And people who do pest reports get the work, right? If it's not clear.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so they don't bring in someone outside.
Right.
That's a good idea.
But that's a space I could help with.
I wonder why they don't. Do you know? Do you know why they don't? You do?
No.
No?
I'm sworn to secrecy.
Oh, okay.
Well, I get. It's just
hush.
So it's just dealing with realtors and people, right? Like you said, you're driving all alone. I get it.
Yeah.
But that's where the money is.
Yeah.
Where people are.
Yep. Yeah. He's. They're both of them are doing so well. They never cease to amaze me. Never a week goes by where I don't think, "Wow, that is awesome." I mean, both of them are quick learners, and they're treating their business top drawer, which anybody that has their service can testify to that. One of the things that they do too is they do heat treating for bed bugs, and that's an all-day process, and it's expensive. Wow. But bed bugs are really a problem, especially in downtown. So
really,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I've never had that experience.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like downtown has a lot of uniqueness. Right?
Over the weekend.
I mean, that might be why I live outside the city limits.
Yeah, over the weekend, bed bugs were running wild.
Or something. Yeah, it was an interesting weekend, wasn't it?
So it surprised me in a ridiculous kind of way.
Stand by. Here we go.
We do have to get a poll in here for him.
I have a story about a poll. One day maybe we can get going down that one. Well, I have multiple stories there. Now that I think about it.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson here with Ed Knoll, April Kempler on Zoom, and Doug Ashby across the table. How about that for a quick rundown?
Awesome. It's like sitting in stadium seating, right? and this is like watching sports play out. It's the same.
You can kind of say that.
Do you know what? Lately we've been watching TV, and because of what was going on in downtown Reno. Why on earth does an on-the-spot reporter, no matter where they are, wear a mask? Are they afraid that they're going to give something through the microphone? I mean, can't they take the mask down and at least talk to their audience?
Yeah, I don't know if that's maybe they're required, because like when we're in our business, we're supposed to wear masks.
So remember, Doug, people on the fire department are probably made to wear them too, right? I mean, it depends on who you work for.
You can't be too critical because
depends on who you work for.
It depends on who you work for, what the guidelines are in your city, because the guidelines for retail say that if somebody walks in that door, I better have a mask on and gloves.
They're completely devoid of common sense.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But don't you think Big is really consistent with that? They're just consistent without having a clue.
This is a great way to segue into my topic.
Good.
Which is potatoes, eggs, or coffee, right? So we talked, or you might have seen my little post last week that when we didn't have the show. I didn't post it again this week, but I still want to talk about it because it's all about what you guys are saying. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to try and make it as brief as I can because this is a full page. I don't think I want to take the whole page. But this is a father talking to his daughter. She complained to dad that she's miserable. She didn't know how she's going to make it. She's tired of fighting and struggling all the time. As soon as one problem was solved, another one occurred, right? So horrible stuff. Her father's a chef, so he takes her to the kitchen. Fills 3 pots with water, places each on a high fire. Have you heard this story?
Nope.
Once the 3 pots began to boil, places potatoes in one pot, eggs in the second pot, and ground coffee beans in the third. Okay? Lets them sit and boil without saying anything to his daughter. Of course, daughter's moaning, impatiently waiting. Oh, what in the heck my dad doing, right?
This is a real-life story, isn't it?
It probably is. After about 20 minutes, he turns off the burners, takes the potatoes out of the pot, places them in a bowl, pulls the boiled eggs out, does the same thing, then ladles out the coffee, puts it in a cup. He says, what do you see? What does she see? Potatoes, eggs, and coffee, right? That's it. He says, look closer. Touch those potatoes. So she does, and said, they're soft. He asks her to take the egg and break it, and after pulling off the shell, she says it's a hard-boiled egg, right? Big deal, right? Finally, he asks her to sip the coffee. Rich aroma brought a bright smile to her face. Her father says, what does this mean? She says, Father, what does this mean? So he explains to her that the potatoes, the eggs, and the coffee beans had each faced the exact same adversity, boiling water, right? However, each one reacted differently. Oh, just like that. Our sign just fell.
I tried.
Timing is everything.
The potato went in strong, hard, and unrelenting, but in boiling water, it became soft and weak. The egg was fragile with a thin outer shell protecting its liquid interior until it was put into the boiling water. Then the inside of the egg became hard. And then the ground coffee beans were unique after they were exposed to the boiling water. They changed the water and created something new. And he asked his daughter, which are you? When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a potato, an egg, or a coffee bean? I just thought it was a great story. So which are you guys, a potato, an egg, or a coffee bean?
So I'd really like to be a coffee bean. I'd really
Oh,
like
I'm not
to be
a coffee bean.
I'm not either, but I'd like to be
Definitely
one.
not a coffee bean. What are you, April?
It's the goal to be something new, to change yourself into something that's adaptable.
Oh, that's an interesting perception of it. See, it's all about how you react. Even reacting to the story is different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. I just thought it was a great story, and so I wanted to share it with you guys because I thought it's really about, we're talking about this adversity. We all are facing the same adversity. Everybody in the world, actually, at this point in time is facing the same adversity, the pandemic. They're facing the same adversity with what happened to George Floyd. We're all facing that. And we all react differently.
There's a saying that covers this. Where you stand on a subject depends on where you sit.
Mm-hmm.
And that really covers it because everybody drags something with them before they have an opinion on it.
Right, but how you react is the key.
So really, though, right, all this, I'll call it noise, right? You go to the core of the problems, right? I mean, this was unfortunate death of a black man at the hands of cops.
You do go to the core, but I'm going to interrupt you because I want to say it is about the reaction.
No,
how do you?
But where I was going, if you're overachieving adversity, screw reaction. You can't allow yourself to feel, right? You can acknowledge, but you can't go down that road. It distracts you from your purpose, right? We talk about productivity.
But it depends on if you're a potato, an egg, or coffee.
So it does, but which ones deal with it best? In which way should we?
It depends on the situation.
Well, right. So it's whatever hand you're dealt, making the best of it. But to me, right, to go on and, reset up the court system and, right, go down this road. I mean, my brother, who is a staunch libertarian, right, goes down and said, hey, 156 people died last year at the hands of police. 156 people.
Where?
Nationally.
Total. More than that.
No,
there's got to be more than that.
Steve is here. He says, I become something new, but harder. Maybe strong coffee?
There you go.
I like
it. But 300 cops were killed.
Yeah.
So, right, there's a balance and a value for all that.
Right, but every situation can have an argument like that. Right? I mean, each situation you can find.
But when you're a country of millions, right? And right now we've lowered the bar. It's like, right, everyone's in a category and you got to be fair with it.
You
can't pick and choose like I can in a small company who works for me. Right. You can't manage the population.
You used the word fair, to be fair with it. Did anybody notice but me how when this first thing that came out, everybody was rushing to judgment? And there was something that I never heard mentioned, and that's, maybe we'd better gather all the facts.
I did hear somebody say that, actually. I did. On one of the shows, there was somebody out there that said, we're trying to wait until everything is done so we know all the pieces. And I think that's, I just think it's hard in any situation because when you see a video especially, how easy is it to make a judgment immediately? I personally turned it off. I didn't want to see somebody get killed. That was not exactly my first choice. And I was amazed that they were playing it. I thought, this is a human being. What are you doing?
Yeah, that kind of lost something, didn't it?
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, April.
Well, I was just thinking the more they played it, the more it fomented anger or
and also
sadness or whatever those negative feelings were.
Yeah, and it also kind of hardens you to people's plights. It's like, oh, that happened again. I mean, I've heard people say stuff like that. Oh, that's, all the time. Well, that's just, we've done something wrong somewhere along the line here with our media and everything.
Yeah, the press it's the same as coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
They just more headlines, more sparkly. They're all about sensationalism.
Right.
And it's sad.
It is sad. It is. Yeah, because there isn't anything right about that situation at all.
Well, here's a question for you. The news media in general, I realize that's a broad subject. What are they? A potato?
Or an egg?
Yeah.
Hard boiled.
I don't think they're coffee. I'm not letting them be coffee. There's no way.
No, they don't get to be coffee.
I think they likely are Jello, right? Jello in boiling water. That's pretty much
How about mush, gruel?
I'm going to tell you,
Yeah,
man, that
nobody's
stuff
a
grits
fan of
is
the media
tougher
these
than anything
days.
you know.
Steve said it was more. 1,028 were killed or died by police in 2016. 52% were white, 26% were black, and 17% were Hispanic. And since we're citing your statistics, Steve, I'm going to have to ask you where they come from. So if you don't mind posting that, just so we can cite the source of your material.
The irony of all of this, what difference does that make? They're human beings.
Right, right. Yeah,
You know,
it does make a difference.
So,
They are human.
so hold on, man. So
we go.
hold on. What's your coronavirus?
I never
right?
thought
They're
my
human
potatoes.
beings too.
I never thought my potatoes, eggs, and coffee were going here, guys.
So
Come on.
But you're talking about the coronavirus, right? The same. They're human beings. You think we should all stop for every individual death?
Should we do what to the death?
Stop.
for
Should
every
we stop?
individual
Stop living?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a false argument. It's
Yeah.
a false argument. You know that, and that's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, lives aren't the only consideration.
Well, you know, with that being said, my brother-in-law has stopped living. Literally, he's still held up in his house. I mean, when the mail comes, they leave it set in the garage for 2 days. That's how afraid that he is because of the
it's a
the
pity.
news media. It is.
Yeah.
You will never live if you're always afraid of it.
That's
But
right.
people live their lives every day without asking that question, without the same thing. They're afraid to step through the door.
Yep.
Well, my closing remarks are going to be, if you're put in boiling water, which are you? Potato, an egg, or coffee? How do you come out and how do you react? So want everybody to think about that, no matter what the situation is, right? So I got my backbone back.
I'm on your side, Jan.
There you go. There you go. All right. We love the music, Susie Husner, so we're just so glad to have it. And you are listening to What's the Story? We're going to be back with more. I believe we have a Reno Gal Says coming up.
What?
We didn't do your stuff. Oh, we got caught up in everything else. All right. We'll be right back.
Wow.
We were supposed to do productivity.
It's all good.
Yeah, let's share. Let's have productivity.
What happened?
So,
I don't know.
So
Well, we
April,
got caught up in the whole, I don't know, there's so many things to talk about.
you'll be the visceral voice of productivity.
She's always the voice of productivity, right?
Not really.
I tried to tuck it under there.
Obviously not. Sorry. So are we getting a new sign? New company, new sign?
Oh, no. Well, so we got entities now.
What does that mean?
That means we have an Infinity Equity Group that owns Omega Mortgage Group. I don't know if who's going to own First Mortgage or right. I don't know where they're going to go.
I think that'll stay up there.
So I don't know where they're going to go in the.
In the big chain of things, huh?
Oh, live and learn. Oh, look how nice everyone looks.
There you go. You got to see us put the sign up. What fun.
Hey,
right?
this is hometown stuff, isn't it?
This is what we do on our break.
Absolutely.
Well, I was going to say everyone got to see my good side, right? That's my weed pulling side up in the air.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad everybody's with us. Thanks for being out there. Steve says 10,662,252 arrests in 2016. So there you go.
So many statistics to keep track of
That's
these
right.
days.
You know, kind of what I like is with the Reno PD, what they're doing is, you know, they have all the videotape in the world, and they're going back, and if they can identify somebody, find out who it is, they go over and arrest them or put an arrest
I know
warrant
that
out
these
on
were
them.
bad guys. These weren't people here. These were,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
It's terrible.
So it's the
Yeah.
same as Facebook
These
in the
aren't
last
hometown
election.
people doing that.
This is staged bull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Because the people who are really protesting as opposed to rioting, and I believe they're doing both, the ones who are protesting, they're trying to have their voices heard. That's all. You know.
in our market, they're soccer moms, right? They're
Yeah.
not door
Yeah,
breakers.
they're not door breakers. So it's a shame that it evolved to that, or devolved, I guess, really.
Looked to me like the guilty parties had costumes on, right? They were part of an organization.
Right, right.
Stand by.
Yep.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story. I'm Janice Hermson. We're here. We've been talking about all sorts of things, and if you missed our last segment, you ought to really go back and listen to it and see if you're a potato, an egg, or a cup of coffee, because I think it'd be an interesting thing to review. So, in the meantime, April is Reno Gal Says, and she's going to share a little bit today about productivity, a little bit about some emotions and feelings. You're good at that, April.
I try. I think because it's an area I need so much help in, because right now things are loosening up. You know, things are trying to get back to normal, almost. And
I saw you with a glass of wine. Come on.
we still what? we still need to keep our wits about us. We need to keep our patience, because not everything is like, for example, my in phase 2 gyms here in the state of Nevada, gyms are included in phase 2 that can open, but the governor did say that if the business is not ready, it does not necessarily need to open until it is ready. And so I'm facing that with my gym. It's not open currently. So I am still, having to be creative and productive and efficient in my home. I'm also on a personal lockdown, as my husband won't let me out of the house unless it's
he's being selfish. Come on, Paul.
essential business. I know. I think our days are numbered here on the lockdown for the Kemplers. But so one of the blogs I follow is Books and Such. It's a literary management, and one of their topics. Of course, this was a while ago. I was going to talk about this, before phase 2, and we were in the middle of phase 1 still, but we were still doing our shelter in place, and it was activities for writers while they shelter in place. And one of the tips was this activity about emotions. And I've had a rainbow of emotions. I've been all over the spectrum, sometimes within the same 5 minutes, of time, just one thing to the next. And sometimes I'm doing good, and sometimes I'm not doing that great. But I thought this was such a great tip. If you're a writer, journaling is a big help for anybody, not just writers, but a lot of people journal. And one way is to take a notebook and title it Emotions. She says, give yourself 50 to 75 words a day to describe an emotion you are feeling, or one observed by someone close to you while it's still immediate. You could title each emotion, make it a page. It could be loneliness, thoughtfulness, restlessness, or joy, or hopelessness, or fear.
Or potato.
Or potato. Coffee. I've been drinking coffee like mad. So try to describe it in ways that are fresh, but be sure to catch the depth of the emotion. So while you're in that feeling, you write this down. This could be an awesome, she says, powerful resource for you in your writing. So when you're writing a character who's, we hope there's drama and we hope that there's emotions going on, and that draws our readers right in. You can go back to this journal of your emotions, pay attention to all the psychological, physiological symptoms, all the things what does your face look like when you're feeling this thing? This helps you to create characters that are real, that are going through real things that people can relate to.
I do feel that that's probably pretty beneficial, especially for somebody who maybe has not written a lot of fiction. Because, you don't, where do you begin, right? I mean, you can sit down and jot down all these characteristics, big deal. Believe me, I tried that a long time ago. I'm not a fiction writer.
I thought that is such a great,
not me.
That's a great thing because you're tapping into yourself. I actually have an emotion thesaurus, and that is a nice resource that I use for those particular things that you're trying to describe but you can't.
And you have to make sure
writers go through the motions. I've stood up many times and I've been like angry, like, am I pacing? What am I doing? Am I grinding my teeth and writing this down? And it must look ridiculous if someone just happens to pass by the door and sees you. But you're really trying to get into that character. That is an activity that you can do that is productive, and that is also an outlet for your emotions.
Go ahead, Ed.
That was a long, long sentence. No, I'm sorry, April, for interrupting. Hey, for me though, writers have all this time, right? You guys are looking for all this time. You guys got nothing but time. Where's your pages, right? Put your money where your mouth is. Show me the money, right? You guys have had all this time and emotion. Right? Best I know, you haven't had a lot of adversity. You've had benefit.
Hey, you know what? This is interesting times for writers, and we're going through a lot of interesting history right now. And I think these journals, even if you're not writing emotions, just writing your day, is going to be really interesting. You know how we read back on Civil War diaries or wartime diaries or anything of a tragedy of a time, and I think this is great because this is something that we've never experienced in our generation, and this is a good time to be a writer.
Well, there you go. See, you found the benefit in it. That's really good. No, it's good. It is good. And made it a productive process. So,
well, I think that's what we got to do. I mean,
do you want to share your productivity with it? Are you done, April? I figured you're probably wrapping
it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, April. But no, for me, I've been so angry. I've even avoided meeting people and gatherings in the neighborhood.
He doesn't even call me.
Because I got so angry because so many people are upside down. And I know a lot of them, and I was there, and it brought back all these emotions for me
from 2008.
And it's a bitterness, right? It's an anger that keeps me going. Now it's a fire inside of me, and it messed up my personal production. And guidelines were changing, and things were happening, and I got thinking, what are people doing? Changing careers. It's a fulcrum. It's a pivot point. And so I followed up with folks I've been courting to be loan officers and into mortgage, and bada boom, bada bing, it happened to be right time. And so I had someone pass the test on Saturday. Woo-hoo. I got 3 more folks on board. So my business pivoted, and I've used it to increase it fourfold.
You found a way
you are the coffee bean. You're the coffee beans.
I'm trying to be the coffee bean, right? I think I'm an egg. I think I'm a pure play egg.
And I think I've mentioned during this whole process of the whole pandemic thing that in our business, we did pivot as well. We pivoted more internally. It's probably not as visible to other people as much as it is to us. And we pivoted to doing certain things more and certain things less. So we didn't really change our business, but we changed quantities. Right. Yeah, and we adjusted because, and some of that was driven by lack of business.
Right.
Right. So you said, well, okay, if it's not going to be here and maybe it's not going to come back, what are we going to do instead? And where are we going to make that cash flow happen instead, since this isn't going to happen? We were definitely not the potato, that's for sure.
I think what you said was great, because if I heard you correctly, what you were saying is you did it seamlessly.
I think so.
You went from one place to another.
We did,
because it needed to be done.
Yep.
And yet it wasn't that visible.
Right.
You pulled
right.
people along and say,
right.
hey.
Well,
I think
and we
that's
didn't
great.
panic. We didn't, and I think having gone through 2008 probably helped.
Yep.
Because we're
Indeed.
like, oh, we're not going to do that again.
All right.
So,
You
Well,
can
in
you
fact-
can draw on how you handled that situation.
that's right.
Look
That's
at
right.
the government. Look what they're doing.
Yeah.
In 2008, none of it.
Right.
Right. In fact, we were trying to keep banks from taking our properties.
Right.
There was no forbearance. There was no forgiveness.
Right.
They were after us.
Yes. Yes. As if we were the bad guys.
Yes.
Yeah, so I will give them credit for that this time around, that we're not the bad guys. Fortunately, I don't have that problem this time around, but it's happening to other people. It's happening to people I know,
Yep.
and so that doesn't change that there's that problem. So I think that we just have to, as everybody seems to have done here, pivot. April, you guys have to do any kind of real pivots in yours, or was that something that just kind of evolved quietly?
It was quiet. Honestly, we were, like I said, before, our business just kind of kept on rolling. Although Paul is somebody who's always thinking about changing and adapting.
Right.
You guys have blinds with like that like sprays out disinfectant at preset times, doesn't it?
It probably should. That's a
Well,
good idea.
right, man. That's a
There
go
you
for
go.
it.
Go do it.
It's relevant.
That's funny. Yeah, well, we got a little ray gun, a little UV ray thing that we do on our books after people are there. It's supposed to kill the bacteria, etc. Yeah, you do what you have to do, right?
I open the curtain.
There are materials that are antibacterial because they use them in hospitals and
oh, there you go.
For device. So there are things out there that you can do if that's a need of yours or a fear.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, our only fear is keeping people safe. That's it. When they come in, we want to make sure they're safe. And, we're doing what we can do. And the only way we could come up, we thought of lots of things, but that was the one we came up with, was this, UV thing. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, it's not supposed to live. I don't know if you got the little joke in the email that says it can't live on Amazon stuff, but it can live on the independent mom and pop place, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's pretty funny.
We need to deal with that essential business
That's
issue
right.
too.
I agree. I'm going to send my letter to the governor. I don't know about you guys, but I got some ideas. All right.
He's a potato, by the way.
Maybe so. All right, well, you be a cup of coffee because we got to take a long break here. But don't go away because we have our second hour, and it is going to be awesome. And we look forward to having you back.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show. But there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, "That's rad." It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, "Totally," just shorter. As in, "I totes love going to the mall with Becca." Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, "Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case."
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media Radio, heard worldwide on the web at americamatters.us and on KCKQ 1180 AM, Reno.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
Independent medical examiners are revealing how George Floyd died.
The evidence is consistent with mechanical asphyxia as the cause of death and homicide as the manner of death.
Dr. Alicia Wilson making her comments during a briefing. Family attorney Benjamin Crump and other attorneys on the case want officers at the scene to be charged with first-degree murder. President Trump telling governors it's up to them to keep their state safe and that the federal government is there to back them up. The president reminding them,
"Get a lot of men. We have all the men and women that you need. But people aren't calling them up. You have to dominate. If you don't dominate, you're wasting your time. They're going to run over you. You're going to look like a bunch of jerks. You have to dominate."
And June 1st marks the official start of hurricane season. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I like the product very much. I wake up in the morning, I'm wide awake, and I'm raring to go. I'm almost 76, and I'm working 2 different property management companies 6 days a week, and I was really, really dragging. I mean, I could barely get myself to work. And it all culminated when I started taking Balance of Nature. It didn't happen right away. I had to take it for a little while. And all of a sudden, I just made a mental note, hey, I'm feeling better. And I am, so I really like this product.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com. And make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
Former Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson says the violence and looting that's been going on undermines the whole message behind peaceful protests.
Protest that crosses into violence is counterproductive to the message. It undermines the message. It cedes the moral high ground, and it strengthens the hand of those on the other side of the debate.
Johnson speaking there on MSNBC. China is reacting to the United States pulling out of the World Health Organization. With the details, here's USA Radio Network's Chris Barnes in Washington.
China says the U.S. is, in its words, addicted to quitting. After the president announced his intention to pull out of the World Health Organization, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesman saying the withdrawal reveals a pursuit of power politics and unilateralism. The official saying that the international community disagrees with what he calls the selfish behavior of the United States.
And you're listening to USA Radio News.
Working from home? I'm Chad Dodd, veterinarian and consultant to Limp Bells. Here are some tips for keeping your dog fit while staying at home. Find 15 minutes twice a day and walk your pet at a decent pace around your place. Play hide and seek by hiding some kibble or favorite toys and letting your dog find them. If you have stairs and your dog is mobile, walk up and down twice a day for 5 to 10 minutes. Or better yet, try a power walk on your terrace or backyard for some fresh air. There are more helpful pet care tips at youmove.com, spelled YOUMove.com.
Government leaders and health officials have expressed concerns that coronavirus could rapidly spread during protests over the death of George Floyd. Dr. Jeanette Nashwa is a Fox News contributor. She joins Fox News and talks about COVID-19 cases on the rise due to the protests.
Yeah, I am concerned that we're going to see an uptake and see more outbreaks in various parts of the country. Sander, I understand the pain and the anguish. This is just beyond devastation for what's happened. But the reckless behavior is going to impede our efforts to try to eradicate this virus. And, generally speaking, Americans have done a really good job of trying to follow the guidelines and protocols to eradicate this virus. But when you have thousands of people in close proximity shouting and screaming and chanting, remember the virus, it spreads through particles, through water droplet particles, through respiratory droplets. And so it can spread very easily from one person to another. You can have what's called super spreaders. And so I am concerned for an uptick in outbreaks. That's why we've got to continue, to follow the guidelines of wearing a mask, social distancing, physical distancing, stay home, because, it's hurting us doctors and nurses from trying to already care for coronavirus patients. And on top of that, African Americans, Hispanics, Latinos, they're already disproportionately affected by coronavirus. So it's a double-edged sword, but we really need to stay on top of it.
And for USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Now she's gone like a little in a song, all the way to MIA, where she thinks that she belongs. Poof, now she's gone like a little in a song, all the way to MIA, where she thinks that she belongs.
Hey everybody. Thanks for having me back again. I am Jenny, and I'm the host of your Cinema in 60 Seconds. This weekend's movie was Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. I actually took the time to see this. I actually took the time to find something from 2019, 2020. So I am going to start the timer in just a few seconds and give you your 60-second recap to let you know if this 1 hour and 58 minutes of movie magic was really going to be worth it. So I hope you guys like it, and I hope it gives you a good idea. And now, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil continues the untold story of the Sleeping Beauty villain by the same name. Angelina Jolie and Elle Fanning return, bringing Michelle Pfeiffer along in the sequel to the 2014 original release. In this movie, Maleficent is forced to choose between letting her daughter marry a potentially untrustworthy suitor or fighting to protect the beings of her enchanted kingdom. Although this is a Disney movie, there are some frightful but exciting creatures that may worry some younger audiences, but if you've seen the first movie, the worst of the fright is behind you. You can find action, a not-so-overbearing love story, and some subtle but meaningful plot twists about the reality of good and evil. Maleficent might be dark, but even the darkest villains have their gray areas. Overall, I think this movie is entertaining and well-rounded enough to recommend for all audiences. If it sounds like something that's worth your 2 hours, you can find it on Redbox through Blu-ray and DVD, or you can stream it on Disney Plus, and I think you can probably find it on Amazon if you know that you're going to want to own it. That's it for today, guys. I hope that helps you out, and have a great week. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Thank you, Jenny Brewster. That is my daughter, and I'm very proud of her.
Yay.
She did a good job. She's getting better at this, a little at a time. So hopefully you might want to go watch that movie. I don't know. Not me, but that's just me, She knew that already when she picked it.
I was going to say, I always wait till it comes out on, VHS, right?
Yeah.
How old are you?
So I
know I'm older than you are, and I know better. Come on.
But I tend not to go to the movies because, to me, sitting at home is almost the same as sitting in the big long couch, eating $20 popcorn.
There are reasons why I like to go to the movies every now and then. I don't go real often, but I do like to go occasionally.
It's an experience.
It's a social thing, though.
Yeah.
It's really a social thing. It's not so much the movie as it is the experience with somebody else that you're watching.
And we've exposed another defect in my character.
Plus, it's a big screen. Some movies warrant that you need to see it on a bigger screen.
Yeah, that's true. It's enjoyable sometimes that way. And it's all about the experience. Sort of like reading a book, right? Some people like print books because of the experience. It's not about, the book itself. The book can be read many ways, but it's the experience that you're...
I don't think our movie theaters are quite open yet here because I think they were saying they were waiting for some movies to come out.
Oh.
And there were some delays in the movies that were to come out in April. I know for one, I wanted to see the new James Bond movie, but it got canceled. and I don't know when it's
You're a
coming.
James Bond movie watcher? Wow, I wouldn't have thought that.
Don't worry, the marathons will be up soon. I haven't seen them in like 6 months, so they're coming.
Well, I thought everything was opening up Thursday on the 4th.
Don't know.
At the shows? Huh.
Hollywood.
Yeah, current events. We're not very good on current events here, guys.
I was gonna.
I just know that a lot of things are open and a lot of things aren't open. So it's just, we still have to be patient. We still have to.
No, there's nothing open though, right? I'm not talking about regular
Yeah.
stores. I'm talking about special events, crowds, events,
Right.
When
Well,
you
yeah,
go to
no, events are
sporting
not happening.
events,
Yeah,
fairs,
but wait a
nothing.
minute. Riots are open.
And, the Boston
Well, maybe
Marathon
that's
was
why there's so
canceled
many
after
people
120
going.
Could be.
Well, it's funny because we were going to talk a little bit of current events, and we did have riots in Reno, and there were riots in Charleston. I saw Brian T. Shirley, he posted and said that they were rioting there. He wasn't there, fortunately, but they were rioting. And a lot of smaller cities that aren't getting the news that are all having riots. And it just seems like such a shame that all across the country, everybody kind of, I'm going to guess that the majority of people feel the same way. That was wrong, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the majority. I would say 98%. I would guess 98% of the people in the anybody who's seen that says that was wrong. So why are we rioting?
Well,
Protesting?
and it caused a lot of stress for people.
Right.
We're already stressed
Yeah, no,
in our lockdown situation. And
but
then
you protest-
that on top of it.
You protest stuff you want, right? The result is that dude's arrested.
Right.
Right. So, I get those other guys could be arrested or
Absolutely.
not. But again, we go to the problem, the case, right? And to me, this issue is solved. Now, I get big picture.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
They want to
Yep,
change
yep, yep.
things. But this is not done, but the guy guilty was arrested per the video, what I saw.
Right.
So they should be stopping tearing stuff down
Well,
and
they should
start
never have
talking.
started
Right? They
tearing
should be
stuff down.
talking to
Yeah.
their lead. Look at the number of African American mayors, gal mayors, right? There's more inclusion than ever. They ought to be able to solve this if it's a problem.
This goes down to the basics. If the police department isn't going to protect the good people, the ones that the vast majority of the country have, then what good are they? And I don't blame it just on the police, because they're getting their marching orders from
Sure.
the mayor.
Yeah, that's not the police. They have to do what they're told.
One of the
you
things
know.
that I heard on the radio today is that in Minnesota, the police department across the world, around the world, is the laughing stock. They burnt down the police station. They saw videos
Yeah,
of
it's a
the police
shame.
actually running from the rioters. Something's wrong when that happens.
Well, hopefully they fix it. Let's get back to win-win stuff.
Well, it rests on one person, and that was the mayor.
We got to go.
He
We'll
spoke
be back
poorly.
in a minute.
Mayor spoke poorly.
We're off.
Hey, Ed, go ahead and pull your mic up a little bit closer to the mouth. Thank you. You're trailing off a little.
So I said that to David, though, after that happened and the mayor spoke in the first riots. He was responsible for those deaths after the mayor. He spoke. He said, that looks like murder to me. He said that.
Well, yeah, so much for gathering the facts, right?
Right. Regardless of the situation, you're a leader. He misspoke and cost lives.
Yeah.
The event is what it is, right? You're looking back on that. But what you say moving forward has significance. And he, in my opinion, blew it.
Well, yeah.
I just think it's so funny what you're saying, but all the primary characters in that, district attorney, police chief, are minority folks, right? They should be fixing that, right? That's why we elect those folks there. They're supposed to be fixing it. So if we're assigning blame, if the police chiefs were old white guys,
yeah,
they'd be at fault too.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the way it is now.
Right. Well, nothing will change.
I'm just saying.
Nothing will change unless people start taking responsibility for their own actions.
But that's never happened, and I'm going to tell you, like Steve, man, that's like saying we're going to like go back and reconsider the seatbelt law. They ain't turning things back. People are only going to get more of that, not less.
Yeah. Well, so something is definitely wrong.
But to me, this isn't women's suffrage. There's a law passed. We have equality under the law, right? It's people's individual biases. It's the most difficult thing to fix. And it happens to every group in every area that's out of your area.
Were you happy with that?
Best I could do.
What was it?
An email for Mary, hopefully that she's going to log back in because she logged in early. So, our guest at the end of the show.
Yeah. Derailed.
Derailed. A good book.
I like that name.
I know, it's good. It's a good name for the book. Keeps you going to the end. I like it.
Is it about a tracks or a mind?
About tracks or a mind? No.
What?
It's a mystery.
Oh, so it's mind derailed.
All right, stand by. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, in a sense. It's a lot of derailing. I didn't think I put that in that often. I guess I did. I like it, though.
What, this song?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Kind of makes me want to have a cold draft.
It does have that kind of sound. Maybe that's why I like it.
And we've got the Bobby Joe music, too.
Okay. We're putting Bobby Joe's music on.
Oh, good.
Or not.
No, we're not. Welcome back. This is What's the Story? Who knows? What's the story there, bud?
That was the casual walk-up music.
That was the casual music.
Walk-up
That's
music.
right. That's right.
That's right, with our hordes of listeners, social distancing.
Yes, of course we're social distancing. It's what we do.
We
all do. We didn't even know that word existed.
That's right.
How long
Only
ago,
10 people
right?
per car.
Hey, so I'm suggesting, and I sent you guys an email, and I'm suggesting that we have a segment called Story Time.
Love it.
Well, okay, good.
Sounds
Like
good.
it so far. Does that mean we're going to all participate?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, what type of story? Stories in the
kind.
form of a joke or something?
Could be.
Oh.
Could be any kind of story. I just told you a story a little bit ago about the guy and his daughter, and that wasn't real, but it was a story and it had a purpose, and
What?
So
It wasn't
it
real?
wasn't real. It wasn't real. It was just a story.
I was going to play that out with my son and see what he chooses.
That'd be good.
It's
I
just
think
fun.
Yeah, it
Just
is.
fun.
I think it's an interesting. It's very representative of reality too. So.
Well, he
So
doesn't
anyway.
know a lot about that.
Yes, he does. He lives with you. He knows about.
I don't know. He
reality.
didn't go to school. He's not in touch anymore. Right?
So there is a story about.
I have a great
What a
story.
lead-in.
Right? Do you
Give you a
have
little-
one?
I do.
Okay.
I do. No, I do have one. Yes, in 1851, there was a store that opened in Haverhill, Massachusetts, to serve. I can't read, but I can, tell a story.
stories,
That's
yeah.
right. Better if I tell it than read it. Serve the shopping needs of mill workers and their families. It failed, along with 3 other dry goods stores opened by the same person. But not to be discouraged, the hardworking retailer set about to find the right customer base for his products. And that person was Roland Hussey Macy. Macy's merchandise was ahead of its time, featuring products like towels in different colors, which was unusual in the 19th century. Think of that, the 19th century.
They had mail order then.
They
right?
did.
They had Amazon right
They
there.
had
I know.
Amazon. I hated Amazon.
I know. I love it. But I'm just saying, they had mail order
I know.
then.
Yeah,
So
Sears
from
Roebuck,
from the first opening stores opened by R.H. Macy were branded with its famous star logo. Serving on a whaling ship, R.H. Macy had gotten a star tattoo, and the emblem became a logo that's famous in retail history. His next best idea was opening a store in New York on 6th Avenue. The grand opening made a whopping $11. Which in 1858 was the equivalent to about $300. So it didn't take long for the Macy's brand to establish itself with sales increasing exponentially until the Macy's name was on everyone's lips as a place to go shopping. I thought it was an interesting backstory about Macy's that I'd never heard.
So if they go after
Isn't
those
this
tatted,
also the one where he started the store, but the location was terrible, and also he was competing against a parade, and so nobody came to his store. And then this is how the Macy's Day Parade started. He started his own parade.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Yeah, that's a great story, and I just think that I love stories like that about people that basically that fail badly, but then turn around and pick themselves up and really make something of themselves. And you just don't hear enough of them, I think.
seems Macy's could
Because
go
we
out-
all just say Macy's, ew, big,
They need to
big
get
bag.
that tat thing out there, right?
Yeah.
I bet these tattoo parlors don't
Yep.
know that.
I'm sure.
And I bet people don't know that.
Right.
And it would be a millennial boon to them.
Right.
You know, when
I think you're right. I do. Are you
when-
listening, Macy's?
when we got our
Somehow I doubt it.
Oh, hold it.
when
Seance.
when we got our tax, when they redid our income tax, and we got this new tax package, and I thought, this 2-3 years ago, something like that. And I thought, people are going to have extra money. We're coming, into a good economy. What are they going to do? They're going to start shopping. They're going to start replacing their clothes. So, who's the leader in that? Macy's. I thought, perfect. I'm buying Macy's stock. So I bought a bunch of it.
Come on, man. You can't be buying any retail, Doug. You can't be buying any retail.
Well, sure. Now you tell me.
I would have told you 20 years ago. You can't buy retail.
I bought a bunch of it. It had a good dividend, which that doesn't have anymore. But $40 a share.
They filed bankruptcy. Right?
Yeah.
So that way to pick the black double
I
zero,
know.
right?
Boy,
But I think that's all about this story, right? You're telling me here's this guy that started with this and made $11
Yeah.
the first time he opens, and now he's filing bankruptcy.
I
That's just horrible.
had the reverse formula of that. Boy, can I pick them.
Well, a lot of businesses are filing bankruptcy these days. I think we're getting used to that word too.
Yeah,
We're
it's a
getting
shame,
used to
isn't
that
it?
whole thing, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to despair. It's just a way for them to not pay their.
Yeah, it just means they're going to be 10 years and crawling their tails back to reality, man, of through barbed wire.
Unless they reinvent.
It's tough,
And
yeah.
like you said, something like that could be a real boon to them.
Yep.
There's an additional
They should
story
trademark it, get it out. How many people would put stars on themselves?
Right.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that.
I'm just telling you, Macy's. I'll take a penny a tattoo.
Yeah.
Ed's got the idea. There you go. So anyway, the whole idea here for anybody who is listening is that we want to have you share your stories as well. So this will be an opportunity in this segment that if somebody has a story, eventually we'll offer to authors for them to maybe practice their pitch, and they should have a good elevator pitch is what we used to call them. I don't know what the new
I'm
terminology
going to tell you,
for it
writers
is.
better have small, short stories, right?
Oh.
Don't you have a
I would
portfolio
think
of two
so.
or
Well,
three that you whip out?
You want to hear a good short story about two brothers?
Yours is
No, this
never short.
Oh
Come
no, this
on.
I can do it in less than a minute.
And I was going to say, I've heard one or two of yours.
Okay, these two brothers, they're very, very, very close, but not close. Anyway, they live together and whatever. So the one brother calls the other brother and he says, how's everything going? He goes, oh, great. He says, your cat died. Oh, he says, that was my favorite cat. What do you mean? Couldn't you? Why would you be so blunt as to say something like that? Just blurt it out. Couldn't you tell me that, maybe the cat jumped up on the roof and we're trying to get him down, and then a little bit later say, Well, the cat was up there so long it kind of got dehydrated. Couldn't you just kind of break? And then we finally got the cat down and we took him to the vet and he's resting comfortably. Couldn't you, why did you just have to blurt out, my cat's dead? And he says, oh, I'm sorry. He says, well, how's mom? He says, well, she's on the roof.
I thought they were in the same house.
That's a true story, too, and I did it in under a minute.
He was watching.
Where's that? Do we have ding? Right? Do we have the ding bell?
That's right.
Ding bell. We need a timer. Is that what you're saying?
Ding.
He's having word displacement. What can we
That's
say?
right. You know what? I'm only here for special events anyway.
That's right. That's your role.
It is. I'm like the special noise guy.
I thought that was Christian's role, but I guess not. Sorry, Christian. You've been displaced.
No, Christian gets paid to do it. I'm a rank amateur.
But we have so much fun.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's the gist of this segment is
I like it.
to
I
tell
had a hard time
stories.
visualizing it, but I do.
Story time, right? I mean, and like I say, we have authors out there that I know want to share their stories, and they're always looking for a platform. This would be the perfect platform to do a short blurb. They can even send it. They don't want to come on air. They can send it to me. They can write it, and we'll read it. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can share your story. So, and we're all about what's a story. So I thought, what, story time works. Right?
Well, you did
just kind of came to me.
Hey, and give us some surprise endings, right? TV's
Absolutely.
boring because,
I know.
right, you can predict endings. My son and I got talking about it, and one of the things with sci-fi and fantasy is you have unexpected endings
Yes.
quite often, and that's likely why I like them. So give us some killer surprise endings. Give us
Right.
some twists. Pull something out of your hip pocket.
There you go. And Mr. Brian T. Shirley just
Cleaned
joined
that up,
us
didn't ya?
on Facebook. And Brian, if you've got stories and you can't be there, you can record them and send them to us, and keep them minute-ish, right?
Brian's got pretty picture stories, right? I mean, he's got real live edited ones.
He does. So yeah, we want to share your story. That's what we're about. And we know in the first segment we're doing the business spotlight because we want to help the businesses. In the second segment, I figured the great thing to do would be to help authors or even people that just want to share their story. I was going to open up a segment for for graduates, and that maybe they want to share some of their stories because they didn't get to do the whole graduation thing. And that's an experience. That's something that kids and even parents look forward to. It's a big achievement, and you want to celebrate it. So sometimes it is a big achievement.
Well, I was going to say, right, I have this whole story. I have another story, but I graduated from Ohio State. I didn't go through the ceremony.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't do it.
Yeah, and that is a story in itself.
Yep.
Why not, right?
Right.
So, okay. But
Expected
unfortunately...
achievement.
Well, okay. All right. This is What's the Story. We are going to be right back, so stay with us. Do we have our guest? Is she...
I'm looking right now.
Okay. We might have to fill a half hour. April, did you look up Derailed at all and check that out?
I did. I put it on my wish on a shopping list or something.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I looked it up. I didn't get it yet, but it's on my list.
Good. I think you'll like it. It's an easy read, and I don't know. Maybe you won't like it all. I loved it.
What's the name of it?
Derailed.
Yeah, I
Derailed.
You should take a shout out to the J.K. Rowlings, too. Those folks that just had the providence epiphany of one idea, right? Put it down. Get it on words. Record it. Whatever. Right? People. I think that's more common than the writing bug, is I got a story.
Right. Well, and but it's interesting to me when you talk to authors, oftentimes you say, what's your book about? They're stumped. Their initial And I understand that. I'm not criticizing them, but I'm saying oftentimes that's the initial reaction. And they really need to hone their skills at presenting that pitch. And to anybody, to just, sitting around with friends, that if you can give that good story to somebody, they're like, oh, I want to read that. Oh, who wrote that? Did you write that? Really? You didn't write that.
So people like...
Right, April?
So people like knowing authors and important people and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
I know. I don't have that gene kind of thing.
I don't either.
And
But I would...
And I can't, I have trouble understanding it a lot of times.
Growing up in Southern California, my parents were very good about the realities of Hollywood and the realities of what these people are like people. Don't get all caught up in it. And I give a lot of credit to them for me, as far as my sister worked at a restaurant in Hollywood, and there were movie stars coming in all the time, and she saw them and served them, and
So it's regular stuff.
It was regular, yeah. It was regular. They were real people, just like you and me, one leg at a time with the pants, the whole 9 yards.
Unless they're wearing a short skirt.
Well, that's only for the guys.
Yeah.
The guys with the short skirt settings.
Right. I know.
You got that, right?
Yeah. I thought those were called, what are they called?
Kilts?
Boxer briefs.
Oh, I thought you were thinking of kilts.
Boxer briefs. No, they're called boxer briefs.
All right, here we go.
You never know where we're going
Is
to
she
go.
there?
Nope.
Oh, boy. All right, then. We might just be doing this half hour
You
with...
can get back to Ed's productivity.
That's right. And April. April can talk about her book, too, and you can talk about yours. We can talk about the edit.
Good. Yeah, that'd
we'll
be fun.
Fill it. We'll fill it.
When did we ever have trouble filling time?
Here we go.
So that's a key point.
Hey, welcome back. This is What's the Story, and I'm Janice Hermson. We got on Zoom, we got April Kempler. She's the author, she's the author of Altered Eye. And we got Ed Knoll over here.
Howdy, hi.
And Doug Ashby.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are here. Last half hour. And hoping that our guest will join us. I know that she was scheduled for 2 weeks ago. And so we could have had a little bit of a misunderstanding somewhere along the line. So we are not sure she's going to make it with us. She is Mary Kelikoa and the author of Derailed. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is my new favorite author. I think that it's a great book, and if you have an opportunity to browse it, see if it's your style. It's got to be your style, because I know for me, you can have a great book, and if it's not my style, I'm not going to enjoy it. So you got to see if it's something you'd enjoy. Mystery, comparing her to the Janet Ivanovich type, I think she's a little more serious than that. I didn't get that same tone. Character-wise, yeah, sort of, but... from the standpoint of the story itself, I would say a little more serious and very interesting, and really up to the last pages, you're wondering who done it. So that's kind of cool. I like that. And I haven't guessed. So there you go.
And it's a book. It's a series. It's book one in the series.
Yes. So I already told her her agency to let me know as soon as that second one comes out, because I want it. So
April.
I'm reading it.
April recommended a book a couple of weeks ago, Homer Fig, The True Stories or Almost True Stories.
Yeah.
I just finished reading that, and it's a super easy read, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Glad you liked it.
You were wondering what he was going to say. I heard you holding your breath.
Well, I haven't even read it. Doug is ahead of all of us.
I was wondering if the audience ever thinks we ever read anything.
Oh, no.
Right? I mean, just saying.
We just talk about it. We don't read them.
All right. Well, I don't. So being on the inside, I don't think that's true, right? I think you guys read a lot and have a lot of perspective and come up with books that sometimes you haven't got to. Sometimes we often say, hey, we haven't been down that road yet, but I think you guys do yourself a disservice.
Because?
I think you do more work and are deeper than we're saying.
Oh.
Right. I think your perspective
I was wondering if we were
is-
going to be insulted or
No. I think your perspective is better than you're letting on.
Oh.
No.
Well, that's nice.
I'm still very dumb.
No comment. I got no comment.
This is just a facade.
I thought it was a good personal milestone for me. I got through Doug's book, which I loved, and I read Dennis Hill's book, Gem, which I loved.
Oh, good.
And then this book I recommended, I didn't read yet, but I probably will. Doug read it and he loved it, so that counts. And so I'm getting through a lot of these
So
people.
we need to send Dennis's book to your mom. You're going to have to give me her address. I never got it to her. I know you gave me her address once, but we need to get that to her because she bought his first book, I believe.
Yes.
And so we need to send her his second one and ask her if she'll review it for us.
Of course.
Yeah, that would be nice.
My mom is a great reader. She reads so fast and so much.
Yeah.
So don't you guys think right now that things are opening up, that like lots of people, we've been finding stuff to occupy our time with no real end date, right? I mean, we're just being occupied. We're looking, we're not like productive, purposefully driven yet again. And wow.
That was a big reaction.
What was that?
Well, I think
Should we call Renza?
I think that was Doug is talking about the fact that I just spent, I don't remember how many weeks, reviewing his book and re-editing it, and we're revising it.
Right.
And we have done some topsy-turvy things to that, which of course I love. Well, I edited it, so of course I love it.
Well, one of the things...
But he loved it too, and that's where his was, because he's been so productive.
Yeah, well, one of the things that when we sat down and talked about this, so seldom do you get your homework and you look over at the stack and the paper is 3 or 4 inches high and you go, oh my God, I thought this was going to be kind of an easy type thing.
Yeah, he was thinking I was just going to make a couple of notes.
So
that's
anyway,
not my style.
When we sat down, when we sat down and talked about it, one of the things, I think it's the highest compliment you can give to an author. And what she said was, when I read your book, she says I really laughed out loud sometimes, and then other stories just brought tears to my eyes. It really affected me. I think that's what every author tries to do, is give that reader an experience.
May I say something that might not be a good thing to say on the air, but I'm going to say it anyway? But when I read his book the first time, I didn't have that experience.
Oh.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And the reason is it's a matter of, and this is where editors come in, and not because I edited your book, but because I really could see where it needed the edit. You needed to have it have the correct flow. Yeah. For the reader to be able to go through it and to really understand where you were. There were a lot of parts in it where you digress to a story that was totally relative. It wasn't that it was badly put together, but it would take you off the beaten track, and now you were over here and you were in the present and you lost your way over here. Now you're having to circle back and come back to, where am I again? Oh yeah, now I'm at station 42. I always pick 42, don't I?
But I got a little lost with all the stations too.
Yes, but you wouldn't now, I don't think. I think it would be
I think what you're doing is invaluable. And I hope Doug really appreciates it.
Oh, thank you.
So you put a little like cardboard cover on each chapter that goes with that house, 42, 13, 8, and you put it in the throne room, and your firefighter buddies will have a nice time with it. Right, but that'll create some killer energy.
Trust me, they're brutal.
But I'm just telling you, that brings some killer energy.
Well, Janice and I talked about this a little bit before we were on the air today, and one of the things I read a while back was that typically police stories or fire department stories or emergency worker stories, what they do is they say, I went to this incident, I went to that incident, and it's just a story of terrible incidents or exciting incidents or however you want to look at it. And they don't have that arc to bring it all together. And Janice and I talked about that. I said, have I lost that with this new editing, and which is, I guess time will tell. I mean, we'll have to shuffle some things in there and say, because you want to move them along.
Right, but part of the thing, one of the things that I asked Doug at the very beginning of this is, who is your audience, Doug? Who is it you're really trying to reach with this book? And the first thing out of his mouth was firefighters, or potential firefighters. So that was what drove me to reorganizing it in the fashion that I did, because of the audience. So you want to grab that audience. And he has a lot of personal stories in there, which are great to have. They are important because that is part of a firefighter's life. But how we organize that is a little bit different.
Yeah. You know, along those same lines about who's the reader, my wife gave it to a good faithful church member, and she gave it to her husband. Both of them really loved the story. But what it zeroed down, and I've talked to Janice about this before, what did you pull out of that? What was your favorite? Well, these people, favorite stories, and they got up in front of the congregation and they told a story about me on how I quit drinking. All of that, that's what you came up with?
So what has more relevance in your story than that?
To them?
Well, to me, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is...
See, you don't know.
You're missing... Yeah. That's a big life-changing thing that, like, without sobriety, folks die.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was bigger than all your stories for them. That's a great thing.
Yeah, you know,
but to him, that wasn't the focus.
Right.
No.
And that's why you need not evaluate your own book.
Another, a close friend of mine says, I said, well, what was your... He says, oh, when that guy ate that bug.
See, so you know people like that are expressive.
Well,
Those are expressive
I
personalities.
Like when you know, you're talking about the old fire truck going up the hill, and a kid on the bike is going faster than the fire truck up the hill.
That was good, wasn't it? And you know what? My favorite, one of my favorite. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Oh, I'll end up. My takeaway from Doug's book was that I really loved his talking through some of the trials, some of the setbacks, some of the emotions, where he compartmentalizes things. Because when you're going through trials, it was really father-like to hear his take on how you handle these adversities and his words of wisdom as a father would teach a child. And I don't know that many people have that relationship with a father these days. It's valuable, and that was my takeaway, that I love to hear that comforting words of wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
Well, there you go.
Thank you. Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just going to say it was the history for me. You're a great historian when it comes to, you know, how things...
1 out of 12. 1 out of 12. I know the same thing. I see it on TV. That's killer stuff.
But it's the history of all the different, you know, the paramedics, things like that people wouldn't necessarily know. Communications. And if you lived down in the Southern California area, you knew these places.
Yeah.
So they were like going home.
Are you telling me I don't need to worry about my arc?
I don't know. You decide. All right. Well, this is What's the Story, and we're all about the story. So stay with us, and we'll be back in the next segment. Maybe you can call in with your story. This is Janice Hermson signing off.
So I thought you were going to be somebody else, like Quantum Leap. That guy like jumps into you. This is... Ted Koppel. This is Ted Koppel.
Ed, you are so funny.
I don't know what I was going to say, to be honest with you. It was sort of off the cuff.
I remember. I love that show.
I said too many times, what's the story?
It's
I
on
got to
right
think
now.
of something else.
It's on Me TV now in the evenings. That's why I'm thinking.
Me TV?
Yes. It's Channel 21, like number 3 or something. But Quantum Leap.
You have Spectrum?
No, I have free TV.
Oh, look in the mirror.
I have free TV. But Quantum Leap was that Scott Bakula guy who plays on NCIS New Orleans. Yeah. So back in his sci-fi days, right, when he was a young guy, he was a big sci-fi actor. And so he jumps into these people's lives in different things, and he tries to make them come out good so their future life works out. It's a funky kind of thing, but he jumps in and out of different people over time. He's been doctor, salesman, Judge Judy, right? All that kind of stuff.
Judge Judy.
Yeah, he's been
And he has a sidekick who is trying to help him get home.
Al.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was an experiment.
Al, but he was a black Al the other day on the show, which is always funny. He's, they have the mirror image, and he's this black Al.
Yeah, he always looks in the mirror. You just see him as the actor Scott Bakula, and he's in a different scenario environment, and you don't really know who he is. And then he'll pass a mirror, and he looks in the mirror, and he's a completely.
But what's he do?
person.
What's he do? He problem solves, right? He's like a
And
problem
then that's
solver.
the end, and that's the teaser for the next episode.
I love that concept.
Yeah, me too. Well, anyway, I've been watching Monk Flash. Since we're talking.
Oh, I love Monk.
Yeah, you guys just like that actor guy. He's got a certain thing.
No, it really isn't.
I don't really like him.
No, it's not him. It's the show. It's the whole concept. I don't know. I just like.
I never got my mom loved it, and I usually like those mystery things.
Yeah.
But I couldn't really get into him.
Well, he kind of solves the mystery in the first 5 minutes of the show. You know what happened and who did it. It's just a matter of him.
And maybe that's it too. I don't like Columbo. I like to watch Columbo after the first 10 minutes, and I missed who did it. Except you can tell because he only talks to one person in the show. Right? It's not like there's any mystery in Columbo.
Lenore says she loved that series, and Jenny liked it too.
I like the Rockford
Jenny
Files.
and Lenore both loved that series. I presume Monk.
Yeah. It was
stand by. Here we go.
Sorry, our guest isn't here. Sad.
Me too. You've been talking about her book for a long time.
I know.
And you love this book, and it prompted me to look it up and put it on my list. And so I guess I'll have to read it now.
I feel like I'm in a bar stool at a country western bar.
Why?
Welcome back. Boy, you guys. You don't listen to our engineer at all.
Did you remember who you were over the break?
I did.
You checked your driver's license,
I
didn't you?
pulled it out. Actually, no, I looked on my phone. No, kidding.
I actually thought we were already on. I didn't know.
It's hard
see
when
you
you're on
guys.
Zoom not to know where we are, right?
Yeah, this is complicated. I gotta get in the studio.
Yeah, Paul, you got to let her out. Let her out. Let her out.
Let me go.
Let my people go. Can you
Does
say?
Does he let you out to eat?
Oh, they
I
were
don't go
out.
out to eat. I make
You
dinner.
guys went out, didn't you? Didn't I see
What?
something posted that you were out? Or was
Yes,
that? Yeah.
we did. We
Ah,
drove
so I
to
said I saw
where-
that glass of wine.
Yeah, that's okay. There you go. We drove to a winery, and they're allowed to sell you wine if you order food. So they started setting up like a restaurant.
Hold it.
And-
Why would they be not able to sell you wine?
Because if
Well,
they
they
didn't
sell-
serve food, they weren't allowed to sell. Because coronavirus only lands on wine without food.
Man,
It's a strange phenomenon.
It is it's an amazing phenomenon, you know.
You can buy
somebody
wine
needs to be
anytime.
smacked.
You can buy the wine, but you can't taste it. You can't. So a winery, they have wine tasting, and you can't do that. So you can have wine there. If they sell you
Help
food.
me. You know what? The Three Stooges are coming back, and maybe they'll run for president. Right? All three of them.
Well,
I
boy,
think they
there's an
should.
opening there.
I'm just saying, man, life has no logic.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So we just had lunch there, and we bought a bottle of wine, and that's what we did.
So I have to share this now because of all of this, right? This is an email that I received, and it says, this is from comments on Yahoo after an article saying the CDC and WHO provide conflicting advice on the use of masks. One said you should use them, the other not so much. COVID facts. The virus can travel 6 feet. Can't travel 6 feet 1 inch or greater.
Best I know, it has like potential energy, right? It doesn't do anything until we push it.
It can live on all surfaces except anything that comes from Amazon. It does not live in Target, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, or any grocery store. It's only deadly in bars, restaurants, small businesses, hair salons, and especially churches. It cannot live on your food as long as you get it to go. And it comes out after 10 p.m., so businesses must be closed by then.
How about going out on boats? Does it go on boats?
Well, I don't know. Apparently in Michigan it does.
Only if there's more than two people.
That's right.
All
They're
these
not
little
6 feet
rules and
apart.
Everything are so annoying.
I've always believed in the death penalty
We're trying
for
to make
hypocrisy.
you laugh. Come on. Trying to lighten it up here, bud.
So you know how I deal with all this stuff?
You don't?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't have enough brain cells for it all, man. I focus on where I'm going. This stuff is just like child stories.
Yeah, it's periphery, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's
but
all
it came
good.
up, so
It's all
I had
good.
to share that because I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
It is, you know.
You have to get a little lightheartedness in you, buddy. Come on. This is
know.
potato, egg, or
That's
coffee.
right. Good air in, bad air out. Good air in.
I'm with you, man. So all
Let's
these
talk about books.
So what if your business went bankrupt because of this crazy stuff? What about this winery that's about challenged that needs to like borrow millions of dollars to stay
but
open?
We can't solve that by just talking about it, unfortunately.
Right, but can't we go back and go, this rule sucks? It's stupid.
But I think that's my letter to the governor that I told you about.
Well, I can't. I don't even know if he can read personally.
Oh.
Did you serious? What up with the video on that last thing, man? He's a potato.
Potato head.
Everything is going to be in terms of potatoes, eggs, or coffee now.
We gotta work in a rutabaga in there.
Not approved.
About a turnip.
Not approved.
Oh my goodness. So April, you went through a lot of edits when you did your book.
Yes.
And
yes. In fact, I was so naive about the whole book itself. I thought, well, I already have the whole story. I know beginning, middle, and I know everything. It's going to take me 6 months. I'll be done.
Ooh, wow. That was not a true story. And unfortunately, when you had yours edited, it went a number of different ways a couple of times. So
Yes.
it took a little while before but I think that is the nature of books and editing. And I think that folks that write a book and send it, and like put it out in 3 months, I admire them for their gumption. But I wonder if they're getting the most quality that they could, and whether or not that's important to them. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
And I had a friend who wrote a book and a similar wartime experience memoir, and it was good, but then it got a re-edit, an abridgment. And the abridgment was better because it was more focused on what the actual story was, not all the meanderings of the whimsical family memories.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
More driven. And so sometimes the reworkings are for your own good.
Right.
So why do authors fight all that Reader's Digest
Because they're
stuff?
anxious. They're anxious.
I mean, fight
it's their
the
baby.
abridgment. I get it.
Yeah, and there's certain things that are important, and you just kind of get married to them, right? And you just don't want to let them go.
Yeah.
I guess that's how
and
I
there's favorite parts, and they just want that in there.
Yeah.
But, Stephen King said killing your darlings, when you're editing. And so, and that's true.
It is.
So
Yeah, you have to, it's just very hard for them to let go because they really believe that it's best the way that they have it. They really do. They're not just being difficult. They love this story, right? I mean, I know you love your story. Yeah. And April loved hers when she did it, but sometimes you got to rip it apart. Yeah, I mean, I did pretty much the same with yours, April. I mean, I ripped that puppy apart and then put it all back together again, and it came back together somewhat the same, but pieces of it were moved, and
Yeah.
And you added a lot of really great things to it that people still love, especially those things. And those aren't things I did. So so it was good.
That's the teamwork between an editor.
One of the things I was going to say is a writer needs to get the rhino skin, toughen up.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and it's having a good editor that can work with you, and that can also say, hey, it's okay if you don't accept this change. And sometimes it's the editor saying, no, that's really important. You really need to leave that one. Yeah. Right.
And there's fears. There's fears that the story won't be what the vision was on the writer's part. There's fears there. And if the editor isn't in alignment with the writer or having the same vision, then that's going to be a problem. And there are, to be sure, horror stories about bad editing.
Yes.
And so that's why there's that hesitation through the process.
Right. Yeah. And so you don't know until you get into it. You don't know, is this the right editor for me? Right. I always talk about whether or not we're the right publisher for someone, because publishers are the same way. They're not necessarily the right place for you. If it doesn't meet your goals, you may need to go somewhere else.
Right. I hired an editor before I even brought it to a publisher. You need to interview that editor. They need to read some of the samples, and they need to make sure that they're on board with you and where you're heading with the book and how they're making it better for you.
Yeah. So now he's looking at me. He's giving me the evil eye.
Who's giving you a look?
No,
Doug was giving me the evil eye.
No, one of the if I heard April correctly, one of the things I think that's coming through with the way I feel and the way that April feels is you have to trust the person that's doing the editing, and you have to know them a little bit.
But it's like this, right? So you got a house full of furniture, right? I can take that furniture and move it around in different rooms, right? And you hire a designer to make it look right, but it's the same furniture. You're not taking stuff in and out. Jan's taking chapters, segments, putting them on the wall and drawing lines between them the same way a designer does a book, and I can see it really clearly. And it's something... I'm good with space and time.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how I have to do
and that's how I can visualize both your guys' books and her doing that stuff.
No, yeah.
But I come off going, so just real, right? You and both you two, right? So you're performers. How could you not look at her and think that she has your best heart, or best,
Yeah.
How can you not trust her?
Well, it's like sitting in your easy chair and you go to put your feet up and the footstool's someplace else. You go, whoa, wait a minute, bring that back here. I was comfortable with that.
Well, right, comfortable is bad, though. Comfortable is a big L. Comfortable is the L on the head, man. Right?
Well, everyone, remember, this is going to be the segment before this one is our story time. So make sure if you've got a story that you share it with us. There are so many ways to do that. Just go to our webpage, lrpnv.com, or go on to Facebook at What's the Story, and you can comment there, and we will respond. And we'd love to hear from you. We want to hear your stories. That's what we're all about. And especially now, it's important that we all share together. We're all in this together, they tell us. So let's really be that way.
Yeah.
Be alive.
That's right.
That's right.
And remember to wear your mask.
This is What's the Story. That was Doug.
Rich is just a really, really, really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the